I took back the van my brother painted his own logo on, so the van's mine. I want to be clear about that up front because everybody in my family keeps acting like it's some gray area. It's not. I bought it, I pay the insurance on it, my name's the only name on the title. I run a small delivery thing on the side, and the van's basically how I make my extra money. My brother Dylan started a landscaping business back in the spring. Good for him, honestly. The problem was he had no truck, no van, nothing to haul his mowers and stuff around, so he asked if he could borrow mine on the weekends when I wasn't using it. I said sure, family, whatever. I even told him don't worry about gas, just bring it back with a full tank and we're good. That lasted about 3 weeks before weekends turned into basically always. I'd text him and he'd go, oh, I've got a job in Riverside, I'll drop it back tonight. Tonight became tomorrow. Tomorrow became, can I just keep it through Thursday? And I let it slide because he's my brother and I figured he'd get on his feet and buy his own. Then last month I go out to the driveway on a Sunday morning because he'd finally brought it back and I just stopped dead. There's a giant vinyl wrap down both sides, his logo, Dylan's Premium Lawn Care, in these big green letters with a little mower graphic and his phone number underneath, on my van. He'd wrapped my van like it was a company vehicle. I called him and I was honestly trying to stay calm. I said, Dylan, what did you do to my van? And he goes, oh, you saw it. Looks professional, right? Guy gave me a deal. I said, that's not the point. You can't just put your business on my van. And he laughs and goes, come on, it's basically my work van at this point. You barely use it. Basically his work van, on the title that has my name and only my name. I told him I wanted it wrapped back to normal and I wanted it back for good. He got real quiet and then said, so you're gonna tank my business over some stickers? People know my number off that van now. That's how I get calls. Like that was my problem to solve. I let it sit for a few days because I didn't want to blow up. Big mistake, because in those few days he told the whole family his version. My mom called me Wednesday around 8 p.m. saying I was being selfish, that Dylan was finally doing something with himself and I was trying to sabotage him. My aunt texted me a paragraph about how we lift each other up in this family. Nobody once mentioned that it was, my van. So here's what I did. Saturday morning, real early, like 6 a.m., I drove over to Dylan's apartment. The van was parked out front, trailer still hitched to it with 2 mowers on it. I had my spare key the whole time because, again, my van. I unhitched his trailer, left it right there on the curb, got in, and drove off. Didn't knock, didn't text, just took my property back. He called me maybe an hour later, absolutely losing it. You stole the van. I said, you can't steal your own van, Dylan. He said, my equipment's on that trailer. I've got jobs today. You're gonna cost me hundreds. I told him the trailer was sitting right where he parked it. Nothing on it was mine. Go get it. Then he goes, you can't just take it. The wrap's still on it. That's my branding driving around. And that was the part that actually made me laugh. I said, Dylan, if you want your branding, you can come peel it off my van in my driveway. Otherwise, I'm driving your phone number around town, whether you like it or not. He didn't like that. He shows up that afternoon with a heat gun and a scraper. And I stood in my own driveway with a coffee and watched him peel his own logo off my van in the sun for 3 hours. Every time an edge tore and left glue behind, he'd swear under his breath and I'd just take another sip. My mom called again while he was out there. Same speech, family, lifting each other up. How could I? I said, Mom, I lifted him up for 4 months. He wrapped my van in his name and told everybody it was his. I'm done lifting. She said I was going to regret this when he needed help and I wouldn't be there. I told her he can call the number on the van. Oh wait, Dylan hasn't asked to borrow anything since. He rented a truck by the week now, which is what he should have done from the start. And the van's back in my driveway with 2 faint outlines of a mower on the doors where the sun bleached around his sticker.